So about 13 years ago, I made a decision that a lot of people were starting to make. I decided to cut the cord. So 13 years later, is this the new default for what it is, or is cord cutting still a thing that people are exploring and doing? Let's get into it. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Adrian Reddix, and today we're talking about cord cutting. So back in 2011, when I was a fresh out of college student, I didn't have a lot of money. I decided I was gonna get cable. And if you guys don't know, back when just in the past, cable was the form of entertainment that came to your house. But at some point, the cable companies start getting very expensive. I can remember back in 2011 when I actually cut the cord, and it just got too expensive. I just couldn't afford it. It was three main reasons I decided to cut the cord. The biggest was price. Like $92 a month was a lot of money to be spending back then. I was a fresh out of college person and I was working my first job, and I was not making a ton of money, but I saw a big chunk of it going away. So I was like, well, do I really need cable? The second reason I cut the cord is going to be there wasn't a lot of things on cable that I actually like to watch. A lot of it was a lot of reality shows. There's nothing wrong with reality shows. It's just not my thing. I'm more of a nonfiction kind of thing. So if it's like scripted, I'm not a huge fan of it. I like to experience the realness of my entertainment. So I don't do a lot of fantasy, but it wasn't a lot of entertainment I liked on the cable package that I had. And the third thing is I got the internet. Like before that, only place I could access the internet was the library because, again, I was a broke college student. So I could go to the library and we'll talk about that later also. But you could do a lot of things with the library that you can't do with cable. When I actually did cut the cord, I relied on two forms of entertainment. And I'm just saying people need entertainment because we get bored and it just feels good to be entertained. Like nobody wants to be bored. So the two things that help me out besides internet is going to be Netflix and the library. In 2011, you could still get DVDs from Netflix. And if you guys don't know, the way Netflix used to work before the subscription, the streaming part was used to go online and you picked out, it depends on what plan you had. You would pick out DVDs, whatever DVD, let's say it was 2 DVDs. They would send you 2 DVDs in the mail. You watch it or whatever, make sure you don't mess it up. And when you're done with it, you sent it back. It worked a lot like the way movie rentals used to work back in the 90s and the 80s, right? That you would go to Blockbuster or Movie Gallery or whatever it was, and you would get your tapes or VHS tapes, take them home, watch them, and bring them back. The thing that Netflix did was I didn't have to go to, also they did DVDs, later. I didn't have to go to a physical store. I could just get online, get something, and in like 2-3 days, I'll have it in the mail. And I also use the library because libraries are a resource that a lot of people don't think about when they're thinking about entertainment and cord cutting, right? Oh, maybe I should give you guys a definition of cord cutting real quick. All right. So when you think of cord cutting, think of people because cable used to be the main form of entertainment, right? So if I cut the cord, that means I'm not relying on the cable company. And that's what cord cutting means. But let's go back. So when I'm talking about libraries, right? Libraries are a resource that most public communities or most communities around the country have. And they have a bunch of different things. And if you guys don't know, I'm an advocate of libraries. So you guys listen, like this is one of my favorite things to talk about. We're talking about libraries. Libraries. So when I was working in the radio years ago, we interviewed the head librarian of the community that I lived at. And she was telling us that every year, and this was back in, I don't know, 2016. She used to tell us that the way they were funded was through the government, and the way they funded them was mostly through taxes, like all other government. That each person in that particular county, that they contributed about $11 per person per year for the library. I'm not sure what you're paying for entertainment right now, but I can guarantee you it's not $11 a year. Using libraries not only for books, because this library, it had books, of course. It had DVDs, which they had all different types of DVDs for all different interests. So you can actually go to the library and get something that was interesting to you and not have to pay anything extra, as long as you turned everything in on time, right? But another thing that this library had was they had toys that you could check out for your kids. It was really cool. They were going into a program where you could check out clothes for interviews also. So you could check out a suit, a shirt, and a tie, and they would kind of make sure you looked okay with it and learn how, and make sure you knew how to tie the tie so you can go in interviews and things like that. So libraries are becoming like that social safety net. And I don't think we give them enough credit for what they do. Libraries are a key part of a lot of communities, and I'm always going to be a library advocate. You should also be a library advocate. If you say library, it really doesn't matter. Like, a lot of people like to be language police, but we don't do that over here. How does cord cutting look in the modern time? I think cord cutting is the default and not the exception anymore, because I don't know how many people actually still have cable or satellite. Like, I don't think that is a big thing nowadays. It's definitely a dying thing as far as cable. But what has happened, since that thing is a dying thing, companies have come up with their own streaming services. So back then, whenever I started cutting the cord, everybody brought their stuff to Netflix, right? And so you had all your big shows over there, especially shows that people like to rewatch over and over again, like Seinfeld, Frasier, Friends, and things like that. So whenever these big companies start pulling their prize shows off, you start seeing like the exodus from Netflix. The biggest one was Disney whenever they came up with their Disney Plus. Most of the Disney movies you could find on Netflix, but they pulled all the Disney movies and Disney properties off of Netflix and put it on Disney Plus. And that's when you start seeing a lot of companies pop up. You start seeing like Paramount and Discovery and NBC and all these other ones pop up, these streaming services. Instead of having this one solution that you paid this one price for that was pretty cheap, now it started to fracture out. And once you start, I like this show, or I like this, that, and the other, and you start piecemealing this stuff together, you start making, you start getting pretty close to what cable prices are. Now, instead of going to one place and paying this one price, you have all these different streaming services, right? And you have just a glut of things to choose from. Let's talk about a couple of strategies that I've come up with as far as how to negotiate this world of cord cutting. Now, these terms are terms that I made up. These are Adrian terms, right? The first one I call the slicer. The slicer is a person who is very good about canceling and renewing different subscription or streaming services because they have different interests. Like maybe they want to watch the new season of Yellowstone, but they don't want to pay for it for the whole year. So they'll get this for the month, watch what they want to watch, and then cancel it. I call them the slicers because they'll get it on there. As soon as they're done, slice it off. It takes more effort to do the slicing, to be a slicer. because you have to stay on top of things. You have to know when the stuff you want to see comes out and all that. So it's a lot more involved, but you could have a very good entertainment experience, but it'll take a lot more time for you to do that, right? It takes more time for you to sit there and plan that out. Then you have the good enoughers. I'm one of the good enoughers, right? So basically, what the strategy is, let's see what all entertainment that you like. You can pick a couple of streaming services. They may not have everything that you want 100%, but what they will have is going to be at least the stuff that you, let's say 70%. Like I have 3 streaming services. I have Amazon Prime, but that comes with the Prime subscription. I have Netflix and Hulu Plus Disney package. That's it. Like if there's something else I want to see, like I'll figure out something else. Like is it bad enough for me to pay an extra whatever $10.99? No. Also, I have a friend. Let me go ahead and tell you where this came from. His name is Thomas Parker. He was, I'll put a picture of him up here, but he was a wrestler and a promoter. And me and him were talking one day and he was like, man, you can't just keep getting this from people. You're going to $4.99 them to death. Right? Because everybody came out with a service. It wasn't just the big ones. You had these little companies that came out with their services. And it was like $4.99 here, $4.99 there. And you're going to $4.99 people to death. Like people are get tired of every time I got to pay $4 or $10 or whatever. And it gets to a point where if you're really want to be entertained and you want to have a wide range of entertainment, you end up paying pretty close to cable prices. But, that's neither here nor there. And then the third category, I call them the one and doners. They have one streaming service, and then whatever that comes on that streaming service is what they watch. If it's anything that is a part of another service, they're just like, okay, I guess I'm not going to see it. So these people are more frugal and they're not as concerned with entertainment. As long as they can get something, they're good. So you have the slicers, the good enoughers, and the one and doners. That's it, guys. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for helping me walk down this memory lane of mine. If you like videos like this video right here is going to be for an office suite, and this video up here is going to be a video where YouTube thinks is going to be the best video for your next viewing pleasure. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one.